Final hour overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Yodog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles, McLennan, Chris Johnston coming up from the Board of Governor meetings down in Florida. Catch up with CJ. We'll get to our best bets later in the hour. Get the Monday Nighter tonight. Raptors playing tonight. You've got Scotty Scheffler loving life again. He won down at the Hero. And
dude, that's, I don't know.
He just dummies everybody.
He
man.
dummies everybody. But the one thing that's crazy is that Tiger's kind of got those Gretzky stats behind him where they were talking on the Golf Channel. They're like, for him to stay anywhere close to Tiger's reign at number one, like, he would have to stay this hot until like 2035.
I know, it's absurd.
Isn't that crazy?
And that's just not going to happen.
No.
I don't care how good this guy is. He
No.
is not going to continue to play this good.
No, not like Tiger. But he went 10 for 10 on putts inside 10 feet, I think it was yesterday.
Dude,
with the
but
claw grip.
that's
The
why
claw grip
wouldn't
is on fire.
anyone try the claw? Like, if this guy said, I've got to get better from 10 feet and in, I'm going to put my ego aside. The best player in the world said, I'm going to put my ego aside. And Hayes, I know you're one guy who's like, I'm not going on that putting green in front of my friends.
I'm not. My buddies are ruthless. You know them. They won't allow me to play.
What if you start drilling? What do you mean they won't allow you
They
to play?
would not allow one of us to play with a claw grip. I believe that.
No way.
I believe you would be outcasted. And I think I would I would spearhead the outcasting if one of them started it.
Really?
What if you
But
had
that
the
guy can't do
Akshay
that.
Bata with the butt holding, like you held it like the broom?
I think it would be even worse. Although I'm obviously joking about actually telling people they couldn't play. But you do bring up a good point. It would be ridiculed until that guy started rolling the rock like crazy. And then everyone would be like, I might have to try that. Because if you start beating everybody, even if you're all 10, 12, 15 handicaps, if you start making big putts and winning matches, ego gets put aside pretty quickly when you're collecting cash.
Damn straight.
Feeling pretty good about it. So maybe I'll give it a shot. We'll see. Maybe we get up to TaylorMade or something. Do they have any of those on TaylorMade? Like, do they have the big ones? Oh, they got the spider and everything.
Dude,
That's what
they'll make you I think you should try a broom. Like a Bernie Langer.
I don't think I could do that. I really don't. I know, like, I don't think TaylorMade would want me associated with that.
No, they don't
really
want you.
don't.
They don't want you for a broom.
No, I don't think they have any interest in me with a broom. But I'd try it to see what the stats would look like. Anyway, CJ coming up here in a moment. This Bill Belichick in North Carolina stuff is wild too, man. Like
Dude, I can't see that guy as a college coach. I can't see it.
It sounds like that. He was on with McAfee today, and he admitted he's met with the chancellor of the school for hours, and he's been talking to him. And you know what's crazy about this is we just went through the LeBron and Bronny stuff. I have seen reports. I don't know if it's accurate, and Belichick's never going to admit to it publicly, that the plan is he gets there, takes over the operation for a couple of years, then his son takes over for him. And, like, it's just crazy to think
Any
Belichick...
university that would want to get in bed with that type of... That comment is crazy.
Crazy.
It is.
I'm going to get it kick-started, and then my son comes in the rear end of it.
Right.
No way. I'm not getting into bed with Bill Belichick, man.
It's crazy.
Running a university program.
Like, how could he connect to an 18-year-old kid showing up at that school?
Can't.
Bill Belichick.
Probably can't.
Sorry.
No.
Although he's dating a girl who's like 24.
Yeah.
Maybe
But
that's his only connection.
Maybe it'd be a really easy connection for him. I don't know.
True.
But, yeah, Belichick in North Carolina is wild because that's not even a massive program. Like, with all due respect, I know you're Mr. North Carolina, but, like,
that's the crazy thing. Like,
The
is he
basketball
doing it
school.
for his son? Is he doing it for his son?
Only thing I can think of.
Because watch, as soon as the son would get in there, he'd be like, check, please. It's his program. It's just like,
It must be some guarantees in that. Like, if you're going to pass the baton on, the school would have to give the son like a long-term contract, fully guaranteed, the whole nine.
Dude, and there's a guy that's just I don't know if it's addicted to competition, addicted to football, addicted to the power of coaching, but that's not even like the highest profile gig, as we just mentioned.
Not even
Like,
close.
and you had to circle the wagons on that.
I know.
Like, just do some media and ride off into the sunset. I know I have no right to tell someone how to live their life, but you want to get back into that gig? Get serious,
I
man.
know.
Yeah.
North Carolina.
Dude, how old is that guy? Is he 65?
Oh, he's older than that.
Yeah, isn't he 70?
He's in his 70s now, Belichick. Yeah, he'd be early. Look that up, Doogie, but I think he's 70, 71. Like, he was coaching. He was a coordinator for the Giants in the early 80s.
Dude, go.
Man, oh, man.
Stop sneaking around people's houses outdoors and go to the beach and
72.
relax.
72. He's like my
No
dad's
tarp on.
age.
Yeah, he's got no tarp on outside his girlfriend's house.
And he's still dating her. Like, he's still, by all accounts, they're still together. Like, there's Billy Belichick. He's out on the town. He's probably doing midweek Christmas parties.
Love
if you're in your early 20s, you know what that's like. Wednesday night, yeah, let's get together. Next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. Belichick must be waking up some mornings thinking, I am so exhausted. I was out on Saturday. Just a friend of mine had this event, and we were out. And I woke up the next day. I'm like, I'm so tired. Like, I'm an old guy now, just from talking to people, few drinks, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine 30 years from now what it's going to be like if I'm out until midnight. Be done for a month.
And throw in a 24-year-old girlfriend into the mix. Like, that's the other thing.
That's a whole different story.
Exactly.
Whole different story. That's back-to-back nights. That's a lot of other activities. There's a lot going on there. Yeah. And Belichick is doing whatever he's doing. All right. So we were talking about this Thatcher Demko story where Thatcher has been out for months and recovering from an injury that is incredibly unique to hockey players.
Yep.
The build-up to his return has been really, really strange. Like, waiting for him to practice. Then he practiced. Then he's maybe going to play. And then he gets activated last week. He backs up on Friday at home against Columbus. And then is a backup yesterday at home against Tampa. Activated and not playing. This is Thatcher Demko. Let's get into this story here with our TSN hockey insider, Chris Johnston. And, CJ, you're down at the Board of Governors, and you're joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. I want to get into a lot of different league-wide stuff. But what do you make of this? What can you tell us about what is going on with Thatcher Demko and why he's activated but he's not actually playing?
Why did he come back?
Why come back? Why activate him if he's a backup?
Well, I mean, I think it's a reflection of how unique the injury is, as you mentioned, and it's not as clear cut maybe as a bone that breaks for a player, and there's a certain healing process, and you get back in, and they're working with him too. And one thing Rick Tocchet has said is, they're consulting with Thatcher about what he's comfortable with, and but
CJ, what happens if the guy Lankinen? What happens if Lankinen blew his knee out in warm up and he just had to play? Like, if you're saying that he's not quite ready, why the hell would he be on the bench?
Well, I think he is ready. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, they obviously, if you dress him as a backup, you're comfortable playing him if it gets to that point. And I know one of the games they played here recently was a weird start time. I think that was factored in a little bit, that they want to reintroduce him on a full game day. I mean, look, I'm with you. The question is coming from a good spot. It's a weird or an unusual look. It's a little different, but this has been a strange injury, and it's been a long layoff for Thatcher all the way back to last year's playoffs. And so I think that they're easing them back in to their careers. Yeah.
I mean, my biggest thing, CJ, is like, this isn't like Thatcher Demko is a superstar goaltender for me. Like, and we saw, for example, Austin Matthews comes back off of an injury, and it's, hey, we didn't bleed him into the lineup and play 6 minutes on the fourth line. It's like you jump in and you go. And I understand the unique start time, especially the Tampa game. You want him to have his regular routine. I just feel like, whether it's the player, whether it's the organization, like, I would love to know behind the curtain, who's controlling it. Is Thatcher's not 100% comfortable, or is the organization trying to say, hey, Lankinen's played well, let's just bleed you back in slowly and find you the right start? Because to me, the right start was Columbus on a back-to-back situation on home ice. And the fact that they chose to back him up that night. And then Tampa, you're right, yesterday, unique start time. But this is Thatcher Demko. In my opinion, he's a superstar. When he's at the top of his game, he's a top 5 goaltender on the planet. So you would think they'd want to be chomping at the bit to get him back into the lineup, and him himself if he's 100%.
For sure, but I think you can use the same logic to explain what they're doing. Is if he's not quite fully believing he's ready to be there, then do you want to force it, right? Do you want to Do you want to do that? And I think it kind of reminds me. It's totally different circumstances than obviously that Austin Matthews injury, but when it got to the last 2 games, it was like, is it going to be the next game? Is it going to be the next game? And it really came down to when Austin felt most ready to get back. I think they're relying a lot on the player for his feedback. And obviously they feel he's right at a point where he could play, but not all the way there. And I don't think they want to force him into a situation where he's not entirely comfortable.
With Chris Johnston, our TSN Hockey Insider. So Michael Andlauer, the owner of the Ottawa Senators, has accused the Rangers of quote-unquote soft tampering on Brady Tkachuk, based on that Larry Brooks report last week. Larry Brooks of the New York Post.
Hayes, what is soft tampering?
I guess I don't know. Maybe CJ, you can answer that. Like, what is soft tampering, and do the Ottawa Senators actually have a leg to stand on here? What is the league possibly going to do about this?
Well, I think ultimately the league isn't going to do anything in this case. Bill Daly, did speak with Michael Andlauer and the Rangers both after, this story from Pierre LeBrun, our colleague, came out today. And I'm going to borrow Dregs' line from earlier when we did a TV hit down here. Like, what is soft tampering? Either you're cheating or you're not, right? It's kind of a weird in-between phrase. I can appreciate where the Senators aren't happy, and where clearly Michael Andlauer isn't happy. They just feel that this is the third time since he's owned the team a little over a year ago that they've had to come out and put out a fire not of their own making, of something that isn't based in reality. Andlauer couldn't have been more unequivocal with Pierre that they've never discussed with another team about Tkachuk, that they have no interest in that if anything, they just want to protect him as much as they can. And so I think that's where those comments come from. But, yeah, it's a pretty serious allegation. And when you make that kind of allegation, obviously some alarm bells go off at the league level. And so, in the end, I don't think much will come of it. I don't think Michael Andlauer regrets what he said, maybe the perception of it. But really, he just doesn't think his players should have to deal with this when he's under contract for a couple more seasons. They're happy with him in Ottawa. He's happy in Ottawa. And it doesn't matter what any other team might think if they want him. I mean, in this case, he's property of the Senators.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I understand why they'd be, I guess, rattled or think that this has come from the Rangers. But like we said, I don't know how the league can do anything about a report from Larry Brooks. He's not going to tell you who he heard that from. That's never going to come out. And, at the same time, it shines a light back onto the story. Like it was a report last week, and then it died on the vine, and now it's come full circle and it's alive again. And I'm curious how you think that's going to play in Ottawa. Like, do you think Sens fans want this to be something Andlauer's attacking, or would they prefer to move on? What do you make of him catering to the market, so to speak?
Well, I think it's a reflection of the genuine frustration internally in their organization. I mean, even their PR guy, Ian Mendez, when that story came out on Friday, put sort of a veiled tweet out there, basically disputing the report. It's a strange one, right? You're talking about Larry Brooks as a reporter that's been honored by the Hockey Hall of Fame, obviously been around the league a long time, broken a lot of stories. I don't think there's any reason to, question his reputation here. I think he's just doing his job and reporting what he knows. But, the Senators don't like how that looks and smells. But you're right. It doesn't go anywhere from here because, he isn't going to say where he heard that from, and nor should he even really be asked to, frankly. And there's no way to prove anything. So, if anything, I think that this is tampering as an idea has been an issue that's kind of simmering around the league right now. The GMs were warned about it in November. I don't think the league liked a lot of what they saw last year on July 1st around free agency. They just felt things are getting looser maybe than ever when it comes to tampering. And so there's been a memo sent around recently, warning teams or reminding them about the rules around this. And so I wonder if it's a little bit of a confluence of events where you have that as an issue broadly that's simmering. And then obviously in this case, the Sens just don't like that their players being drawn into that kind of story when there's really no basis to it in terms of them wanting to move him or him wanting to move on.
With Chris Johnston, what are you hearing on the Leafs injury news this week? Domi, McMahon, Camp, if he's going to start skating and playing again. What is your understanding of the way this could play out over the next week or two with the injured players returning?
I don't have a firm feel for exactly who is when, but I mean, obviously at this point it's getting closer with everyone there, and some decisions will come out of that in terms of who's going to be available. But I don't have the exact timeline, and I've been away from the team here for a couple of days, so I don't have a good update on exactly what how that's all going to play out.
Board of Governors, then what is at the forefront down there?
Well, today, there was some talk, I think broadly with some of the exclusive owners about CBA issues, and obviously that's a huge issue, that's coming to the league in terms of those kind of negotiations starting here in the new year. And so, There's some talk with that with owners tomorrow. I think we'll get more of an update on where the salary cap's going to go next year, which I think has a lot of interest from the GMs as they make decisions. Obviously, some key players this summer that are eligible for contracts, and I'm sure that they and their agents want to get some more clarity there. I mean, those are the big ticket items. Today there was some talk with the Canadian rights deals too, which up after next season, and Sportsnet's been the exclusive national broadcaster, but we'll see if whether it's Amazon, whether it's TSN or WeWork, or how that's going to shake out. And so those are some of the things that have kind of been highlighting the agenda here.
Any rules that they've been dealing with, or have they've been bantering around this 3-on-3, maybe some rule tinkering so that you can't take it back type of thing? Like, I know that people are getting frustrated in watching OT where, the cycle back type of thing. Is there any thought process on that?
That is not something that really gets dealt with here. I know one rule that sort of caught the eye or potential rule tweak is they don't like the way teams have been passing the puck back to the goalie necessarily to basically get a change. But really the GMs kind of kick that around more. And so with, this is the owners and the business people. And so it's a lot more focused on that side, the financial side of the game, and some of the bigger picture items that way.
All right, CJ. Well, we'll see what comes out of it. And, it's going to be a busy process down there. So enjoy it. We'll do it again soon. Thank you.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Chris Johnston, our TSN Hockey Insider, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline.
How come those boys never head up to Ottawa or something for those types of meetings?
I often wonder that. Can we not get that somewhere in northern
Cheyenne.
Saskatchewan or something like that?
Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Yeah, let's get a little bit. It's always down in Florida. All the board of governors down there.
And don't they have another one in March?
Yeah, they have the GM meetings, right? They do multiple board of governors, then the GM meeting. Yeah, you got to clarify that kind of stuff. I'm curious where the salary cap and what that's going to mean. I mean, you hear it all the time. It's going to explode. It's going to explode. Right. I guess I'll believe it when I see it.
That's like Demko coming back.
Yeah, exactly. Every year for years it's been we're going to reset. It's going to explode. Getting through COVID. COVID's over. Now it's go time. And then it seems like every year, Bettman, you get to the Cup final, and he's like, it's actually not going up as much as we thought. But we'll see.
Well, I would like to guys, that it's still, I find it bizarre. Like, Jamie, what do you think he said? I'm good to go, but don't play me for a couple games? Like, how would even that work?
I don't know. You know what? The mental makeup of coming back and trusting something coming off of an injury.
But that just means you're not ready.
Well, either that or you're physically ready, but you also maybe you got to get your head wrapped around the timing of it and all of that. Like, that's really when I look at certain things from a player. I've said this all along. For a player, you can skate harder, you can hit harder, you can shoot harder, you can do things a little bit differently to settle back in. For a goalie, you can't stop the puck harder. Mm-hmm. You got to make saves or not. And if you're bleeding back into the lineup. I think it's, hey, you're jumping on a moving ship. This guy has not played forever.
He hasn't played at any point all year. No preseason, nothing, man.
So
he went out in first round of last year's playoffs.
Right. So I would have to think that there's probably a level of okay, when I'm ready, I'll jump in there. I hope it's next game. I'm sure there's a plan in place. This is the thing. These people do this for a living. The goalie coaches, the goalies, and all that. So there's behind the scenes, Talk has a plan for him. He has a plan for it. It's just when we're sitting on the outside going, okay, that looks weird. Or that, again, this is Thatcher Demko. This isn't, McLennan or backup, guys like that who are traditional backups. Like, this is a guy that they can use. He's a superstar. So they're probably chomping at the bit to get him back. And hopefully it's next game. And then maybe it'll be a moot point. But it just was a little bit weird for me.
I don't think this is going away, though, even after one start. I mean, let's this will be hanging over him and the team until you get through basically the season.
We've done this for 6-7 years around here with Leaf goalies. Every time they literally went down, I was like, how long is this guy going to be out?
Yeah.
Penalty shot against Brad Marchand. I don't know which one of them, Jack Campbell or Samsonov, fell backwards, and I'm
Samsonov.
That guy's going to be out for just gone. Like every time they were hit, either in the head or they were gone. They were gone for a while.
That's I think the concern is Demko. He's got to get back in. He's got to start playing, and then he's got to prove that okay, I'm officially back. Where easing him in with back-to-back backup games where anything could have happened to Lankinen, and then you got to go in cold, to me, is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I would have understood it in a way if he started Friday, then they said, all right, he's not even going to dress on the Sunday. You know, like it's a weird day. He's not going to back up. No setbacks. He's played. It's all good. We'll see him again on Tuesday or whatever. But he backs up twice. And I guess we'll find out. Again, they're on a homestand until like later next week. So they're in town. They're not going anywhere. No travel, nothing. And Demko has been reactivated, but he hasn't played. So we'll find out. I'm sure he will start at some point. And then once he gets through that, then it's like, okay, how does the body feel? How does it react? Do you trust yourself? What does it look like? And then at some point, you got to get to a question, are you playing well? You know, that's another thing about injuries hanging over guys. It's more about the recovery and whether or not they feel okay and where are you mentally. Yeah. Then eventually you get to a point where you pass that and you're like, are you actually playing well? Like, are you performing and producing at the level you are supposed to? Because Demko is a star. Yep. And if he is playing the way he's capable of playing, then that changes the whole complexion of the organization and the way that they operate. Yeah, and they need him.
I agree. They do.
They need him. And, Lankinen's been very good. Very, very good.
He's been excellent for them, but it just also, like, that was the one thing I hope that they were trying to pour cold water on is, hey, Lankinen's played so well, we don't need you. That's not the case.
There's no chance.
Just think of that as a tandem. That could be, you talk about tandems. If they get cooking, that will be the best tandem in the NHL.
That's a nice tandem. I mean, the tandem tomorrow night, Allen's got 2 shutouts. Markstrom's played very well. You know, we talked about it last week. The Leafs tandem is nice. You know, there's a lot of good goaltenders in this league, and the Leafs goaltending is right there statistically and the way they've played. You know?
Yeah, they've been outstanding, and they're going back and forth. We'll find out who Stolarz will start tomorrow because he's from the Jersey area. Yeah, he didn't get to start night 2 of the season because he had to play in Montreal the night before. Stolarz will play tomorrow. All right, we sent Al's brother out somewhere in the city with a pair of Leaf tickets, and you have to guess where he's hiding for your chance to win them. You guys ready for the first clue of the week?
Yep. Go ahead.
Hey, OD fans, how we feeling on a Monday? It's time for me to buzz off to a new location for another set of Leaf tickets to give away to you this time. It's to a game, Leafs Islanders on December 21st. Here is your Monday clue. Last week, I froze myself hanging outside at Graffiti Alley all week, so I've decided to head back indoors. And there's a chance that I still might see some snowflakes while I'm inside this new establishment.
Oh, very interesting. Al's brother getting very creative here. Tune in tomorrow for another clue. The first caller through on Friday with the correct location will win a pair of tickets to see Leafs Islanders December 21st. Find Al's Brothers, brought to you by McAlpine Ford in Aurora. Our family, the Ford family, and you. Full details at tsn1050.ca. All right, Ross Atkins is down at the winter meetings speaking on the Juan Soto pursuit and what else could come of the Blue Jays' off-season plans. So we'll tell you what Ross had to say and how he described.
I actually want to hear. I want to hear him.
We're trying to get the audio. I mean, I don't know if we have it. He just spoke, so it's a turnaround thing. But I would like to do the same. I'd like to see it. I'd like to hear it. And Something to Chew On brought to you by Boston Pizza on Vladdy and the Blue Jays and the 2 of their futures together. So we'll get to that as well, and our best bet still to come. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Our best bets later in the hour. Ross Atkins has spoken to the media down in Dallas at the winter meetings. And there's a couple of quotes that are starting to go viral. We don't have the audio or the video yet. We will have it by tomorrow, I'm sure.
I don't want to hear it tomorrow. I want to hear what the viral comment is.
I want these
Tell me now.
Right
now.
I
mean, this is the thing about Ross is, like, Ross gets talking, and he talks himself into corners and bad places.
He doesn't answer questions. He's just like, by the time some of his answers are done, you're like, hang on a second. If you pay attention, you're like, that has nothing to do with the question I just asked.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird way of just finding a way to get into a place that no one wants you to get to, basically. No. And this is how he described the Jays' process with Juan Soto. Quote, he said, the Blue Jays were grateful to be a part of the process. End quote. Grateful.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Yeah, how can you be grateful when you didn't get the guy? That's the thing. Like, and that's a raw. I can see him saying that. I hear him saying that.
He's being polite.
Yeah, and he's. It's like you're trying to spin it
I know, but here's what people want to hear. It was kind of cool to get in the hunt, but we didn't get the guy, so it ultimately sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Chris Tanev the other night. Hey, great pass to John. Who cares? We lost.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
I like that answer. Good answer. Like, who cares? Why are we talking about this? We lost. And it would have been so much easier for Ross. Again, we don't have the whole clip, so maybe there's more context to it. But to just say, hey, listen, yeah, we were in. We'd love to have Juan Soto. We didn't get him. He goes somewhere else. We move. We move on. We're confident in who we are. Even if they don't really believe that, or you don't believe that he believes that. But, grateful to be a part of the process is just never going to land. And it's one of those things. It doesn't matter what the Yankees say, but there's no way Cashman would say that.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that the GM in L.A. with the Dodgers would be like, really grateful that they picked up the phone.
Dude,
and
Cohen would probably say, you know what? We weren't even in on it, so.
Well, or they just outright lie and be like, I'm not talking about that guy. He's a loser.
Yeah.
We didn't even want him. Just go the opposite way. But Ross Atkins was also asked about financial flexibility and whether it could be used immediately elsewhere. And Atkins said, quote, every player, every acquisition is unique. I would say that those two are incredibly unique, end quote. He's talking about Soto and Ohtani. So in other words, those guys were a completely different beast. And just because we're willing to spend that much money on those two, we will not be spreading that wealth out elsewhere. That's how I read that. That's how I interpret that. And again, I'm not surprised by that because of what happened last year. They were willing, allegedly, to offer Ohtani $700 million, and then when he didn't take it, they signed like Justin Turner and Kiermaier and Kiner Falefa. You know what I mean?
Then after that,
they're like, we're not. And I think that is what is terrifying if you're a Blue Jay fan. If it's Soto or we have restraints on what money we're going to spend, then the rest of this offseason may be very deflating again. And I can't imagine it could get to that point, considering how much pressure's on them and how much they've talked up a big game to Pryor and Atkins of making sure they bring in talent. And you look at their lineup, again, it's December 9th. They don't play ball for a long time. They need at least a power bat in the outfield, at least. Possibly someone to play third, a backup catcher for sure. They need a ton of help in the bullpen. Like Jordan Romano, they didn't tender him. And then they're like, we'll probably circle back on him. He just signed with the Phillies today.
I don't
$7 million.
Yeah.
I don't understand that move. I'm sorry. Did they not want to keep him? Like, is he
that would suggest they didn't want to keep him.
Exactly.
That's what it would suggest to me.
It wasn't that long ago. This guy was an ace.
A rock star. He's from Markham, too.
I know
you,
up the road.
Just because he's a local guy doesn't mean he's got a job for life. I get it. This is pro baseball. This is a major league sport.
Right.
But really, you couldn't get to 8 or 8.5 and keep him on maybe Romano wanted to
and by
change,
the way, that's what boggles people's minds, and it's going to be fascinating, the trickle-down effect, but we'll never know because we're not in the trenches as far as negotiations. His agent in Romano got to be sitting in a coffee shop saying, they're going to $700 for one guy that's never played for this team, but they won't go to 8.5 for you.
I know.
That's when you want to give them the middle finger and say, go stuff it, man.
That's a really good point. That this is
like $700 they went to with a guy that's never played for the team, and you're talking about an extra $1 million.
Yeah.
And that's when you take it personally. You're like, for the principle alone, I'm not signing with them. They can go screw themselves.
2 years in a row. Tough. 2 years in a row, they put like $1.4 billion on the table, spread out over 2 years for other guys who didn't even accept it.
No,
like that's what's crazy.
No.
Like it's and Ohtani was a different beast because he's Ohtani and the unicorn element.
But they did it 2 years in a row.
2 years in a row, and Soto's a great player. He's a phenomenal player, but he doesn't have like the vibe of Judge or Ohtani or.
Right.
Even you look at a guy like Bryce Harper, you look back on his contract, like Harper's got a vibe to him that just is like, man, I want that guy to be playing ball for me. Not that I wouldn't love Soto here. Yeah, of course. He's got he's got a beard, he's picking fights, clown question, bro. Where like Soto is just he's gonna go out there and be unbelievable for you. No question. But he's not like he's not a blockbuster A-list celebrity. He's a player that matches that. But he's not. This isn't DiCaprio you just signed or Tom Cruise. Like he's, it's a weird, kind of way of all these teams approaching it. Where all of them, Mets, Yankees, Blue Jays, I'm sure the Sox and I would guess the Dodgers were like, we'll do it 700 plus. Crazy, man. So here's another one. Ross Atkins was asked whether Vladdy Guerrero Jr. was asked to help recruit Juan Soto. Two of them are very close. Vladdy posted an Instagram story today congratulating his friend Juan Soto on signing that deal. And Ross said, quote, we actually didn't ask him to go to an unnatural extent or have him be a part of a presentation, but I'm sure that because of their relationship, there was influence, end quote.
What?
What is an unnatural extent?
Well, basically,
What does that mean?
I think he was trying to, like, isn't there the tampering type of thing? Like, you could go behind the scenes and be
It's
like,
not tampering when he's a free agent now.
No, I
Yeah, you
understand
can
that.
say,
a
let's
free
fly up and go play a round of golf with Juan
It's not
Soto.
retrospective
understand
tampering if you
No, but-
admit that Vladdy was a part of it.
What I'm saying is if you admit that Vladdy's a part of it, then people will go, well, we saw them for dinner during the season. You know, like it just, I think it puts him in a tough spot. That would be that's why I think Atkins is trying to keep him out of it and go, we didn't go to an unnatural, like, hey, that's the tampering mode. That's that. Like, I think he's just trying to protect the player. And I
Keep
guarantee
Vladdy
you,
out of it is
that's
what you're
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
And I think he's also lying because he probably went to Vladdy 50 times to go, I need your guy here. Get on the phone, text him. What do you think? Like,
now the uncomfortable truth could be that they couldn't ask Vladdy because Vladdy knew if Soto signed here, he's leaving. Like that could be a part of it too, where they're like, how do we get Vladdy to tell him to sign here and then tell Vladdy we're not paying you and we're not going to keep you?
Yeah,
you know,
that's fair. That's a
or
good
how do you
point.
have Vladdy, like one way or the other, represent your team's future if you don't know if you're going to sign him? And Ross did say today, to be fair to him, he said our plan is still to sign Vladdy to an extension. Like that's what they want to do. And, you know, we'll see if that ends up happening. But I guess Vladdy was not a part of this. And again, Aaron Judge wasn't either, I believe, for the Yankees. I'm pretty sure Judge said, I'm out of it. Like generally the player's code is like, I'm not getting involved in this.
right.
Like I don't want to be involved in this. But yeah, Keegan Matheson tweeting out all of this from MLB.com that I guess Atkins said, quote, the Blue Jays need to stay disciplined to how they view extension talks with Vladdy, and that nothing has changed in terms of our pursuit of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and we are very hopeful to extend him.
I just can't believe, like, I like the guy. He's a nice guy. He's been good to us. He's come on. But I don't understand how he doesn't have a PR guy that says, Ross, the way you address some of these things is completely ridiculous. Like, people, you direct traffic where you're asked a question and you take it to a place where you're not even answering the question. And it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. And people in Toronto just said they don't want the nonsense.
Well,
Like, they would rather him come out and just be truthful and just dead honest and cut the crap.
grateful to be part of the process.
Grateful to be a part of losing out on
Just
Soto and
grateful.
Ohtani?
Yeah.
Who the hell's grateful for that?
Grateful that Scott Boras used our deal to get more
Yeah.
to stay in New York and be a Met.
That's a crazy thing to say, grateful.
Well, and I think clearly he and the organization are sending a message here when it comes to Vladdy. Like to say we have to be disciplined, that is their message that
That means that we're not. You're
don't
not gonna,
think you're getting
no.
all this money. You know,
Yes.
don't even think just because now that we were willing to give Soto 15 years at $760 or whatever it was. That's what John Heyman's reporting, that we're willing to do anything crazy with you. And Something to Chew On is brought to you by Boston Pizza's new Game Day menu. Stop by your local BP for $7 touchdown pints, shareables for the whole crew, and weekly prizing up for grabs. Football game days are better at your local BP. We've been asking, will the Blue Jays sign Vladdy Jr. to a contract extension? And it is so split online. 52% saying no, 48% saying yes.
Wow.
I haven't seen a vote like that's been that evenly split in quite some time. And my concern is this guy's going to hit the market now. Like you've gone this far without extending him. You're saying that you're going to be disciplined. You're kind of admitting publicly that you really like Vladdy, but do you love Vladdy? And Vladdy probably knows that. And this is another example. We mentioned it earlier. A couple of years ago, Juan Soto was offered 15 years, $430 million or whatever. He waited it out. He played it out. And now he's made an extra $300 million. Vladdy's not going to get anything crazy like that. But would I be shocked if he had a great platform year and became a free agent at 26, 27 and got $450 million from somebody? No.
Maybe they have tossed around numbers like that, and Vladdy said, don't even think about coming at me with that. Like,
That's
it's gotta be
possible,
high.
too.
So that's why the comment would come out like that. We have to stay disciplined. Maybe the Blue Jays feel if he wants that like giant money that we just mentioned, some other team's going to pay it to them.
Yeah, well, and listen, if that's the reality, here's another reality that Blue Jay fans, I think, need to be prepared for.
Trading him.
Right.
Is either you're going to trade him, or if he goes, like, Bichette's going to go. Like, Bo Bichette's, the whole conversation around him, I don't recall the last time something changed the way it has changed around Bichette. What I mean by that is he had such a bad year, injury-related, but also performance-related. Wasn't great the year before that. This guy's...
A couple comments, too.
And a couple of weird comments both ways. You know, wouldn't be surprised if I got dealt. He was saying that before the deadline. And then by the end, he's like, all I want to do is be with Vladdy and be in Toronto. It was like a complete reversal. Yeah. But no one's even talking about Bichette. Like, what happens with his future? And he's up at the end of the year. And we live in a world now where we could be 10 months away from Vladdy and Bichette both being done and leaving. Maybe Atkins not being here, maybe Schneider, maybe Shapiro, and just a complete turnover of the organization. Like, that is in front of them, especially if they do nothing the rest of this offseason. They'll sign guys. But if you don't make impact plays,
man, oh man,
like where are we going to be in a year?
What would you rather want? Would you rather them spend money and put some kind of fake contender together that you know deep down is probably not going to do anything? Or would you like what you first mentioned to happen, everything just play itself out and everything's gone and there's a blank canvas for someone else to come in?
Oh, man. I think...
You want a fake contender, you fraud.
No, I don't want a fake
contender. Yeah, you do.
Contender.
Because you're fake and you're not a contender yourself.
I would do everything I possibly can to keep Vladdy Guerrero Jr. I think Bo Bichette's a different story.
But what if loading up on Vladdy signifies being a fake contender? Like,
well, but
I don't know. Is he a guy that can lead the charge and be a difference maker like a Soto or an Ohtani? He's a guy that fell asleep at second base in a massive game.
Yeah, that's just a straight fact. Listen, he's not Ohtani or Soto, and I don't believe he will never be those guys.
Okay, so why do you want to hitch your wagon to it?
Because I think you can have your cake and eat it too. He's young enough that even if you have to take a dip or retool for a couple of years, he's still going to be an impact player 2 years from now. Like, it may be a scenario where they're like, okay, Gosman's deal, we got to figure out what we're going to do with that. What are we going to do with Bassett? How are we going to replenish, talent in the minors? But you can do it in conjunction with having Vladdy locked in and knowing that he's going to be a part of the process. I think you can do both. But if he walks, what do you have left? Like, if Vladdy leaves next year and Bichette leaves next year, it's literally like George Springer and Dalton Varsho. And Barrios and Gosman. Yeah, they're not committed to anybody long term. It does open the door for a complete retooling of the organization. But what has been proven the last 2 years is you're not going to get the big dogs to just miraculously come up here. They're not coming. Soto's not coming up here. Ohtani's not coming up here. The next big gun guy that's 25, 26, he's not coming here either. So you better make sure you when you draft, develop, sign, whatever, and you've got a guy and you believe in that guy, you better find a way to pay that guy if he wants to stay. And listen, we don't have the answer from Vladdy. He's always said the right things, loves Toronto. I've always believed that. But he may have someone in his ear saying, man, get to free agency. You know what these guys are going to pay you?
Well,
you know what it's like to be the king of baseball for a month where everyone's buzzing about you?
Well, guess who's in his ear? His best buddy who just
could be Juan Soto. Could be Juan Soto.
He's talking to him over dinner going, what was this process like? He's like, dude, it wasn't that bad. And in the end, they turned down $440 and got $760. Or what did he turn down, $440?
He turned down, 15 years, like $440 from Washington with a lot of deferred money and all that stuff.
And now stuff.
Imagine having the stones to say, don't even think about that.
$440.
Think about that. Like, we're looking at a $440 million contract and bringing up the deferrals as if that's insulting.
Yeah.
Deferrals on a $440 million. Like, what are you, serious, Washington? And Steve Cohen just said, I'll write the check right now, fully guaranteed. What do you need? Lock it in. 15 years of commitment to Juan Soto. And I wish I could press fast forward because they might win a World Series. Like, Cohen is just going to spend and spend and spend. Like, he's just going to keep going until they try to win. And that would be just incredible if you're a Met fan. Yeah. But what if they don't, and in 10 years this guy's just, can't bring it anymore.
Nice.
What is
Jake
that going to
Taylor.
look like? He's got the bad knees. Yeah, I mean,
that's coming, man. Nobody stays good for that long. I don't care who you are.
No.
That guy will be Jake Taylor, and the Mets fans will hate his guts.
that's what's crazy, man. Is you would think he should have more pressure on him than any athlete on earth to perform. It's Juan Soto, and like if you're Ohtani, think about how you're just breathing easy. Now you're no longer the highest paid guy, and you already won a World Series in your first
year
year.
one.
Yeah, World Series.
Year one.
Check, MVP check. I'm good. Like Dodger fans are
But
just
that's
gonna
the
let
kind
him...
of guy that will not kick his feet up and say, that's good enough for me. I did what I was supposed to. He'll want to win back-to-back and then 3 out of 5.
Yep.
Like that's the guy's a machine.
Yep, that's right. Well, and he'll be pitching by next year. Yeah, he's just going to get better and better for the next few years, but he will fall off as well. I mean, there will be a point where you just can't do it anymore. Wow. All right. Got a lot going on a Monday,
cash,
man.
Holy smokes.
Big money.
I don't know. This
It's
Vladdy
uncomfortable
thing is,
that much money.
It's for me. It's really interesting. Like, because I just don't know where Vladdy thinks he's going to fall. I'm telling you right now, Boris or somebody has gotten in his ear and said, "I'll get you $500."
Whoever's agent, I wouldn't be surprised if you're his agent. You think, listen, this is your platform year. You go out and perform.
Yeah.
Go out and just have a really good year. Stay healthy. Yes, you play first base, all that kind of stuff, but you're a homemade name to everyone knows Guerrero. Everyone knows him. Everybody. And if he has a great year, someone is going to offer him an exorbitant amount of money. Now, the Jays, you can't be stupid. You can't just say, all right, here's $600 million because Soto got it. Like, you still have to run a business, and you have we all understand that. But if it's $400 million, you got to sign him if you want to keep him. Like, if you believe in Vladdy and you feel you need him to keep the whole marketing campaign alive, that you're going to be competitive and people are going to come down to the Dome, and it cost you $400 and it would have cost you $300 a year ago, that's on you guys. But you better pay him. Don't be vindictive and say, well, we could have got you for this. Well, you screwed up. You didn't pay him.
You know who's on their high horse right now? Is your boy Jonas.
Juan Soto's his boy.
That's his
favorite
boy,
player.
Right?
Favorite player. Greatest batter these eyes have ever seen. That's a quote directly from Jonas.
Jonas is strutting right now.
Yes, he is.
He's like, my guy got paid.
He got paid.
It's true.
He got paid.
Yeah.
All right. Best bets still to come. We got the Raptors in action Monday nighter tonight. Timo and Wilson laying the points. Bengals -4.5 in Cowboys Stadium. Sun will be down. No issues with the sun for Jerry Jones and his crew tonight. Cowboys on prime time. Can't wait. We'll see what comes of it tonight. We'll get to our best bets on that game and more. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Riding with Luke and Owen Wilson here. Bengals laying 4.5.
You know it.
Chase Brown anytime touchdown score tonight. Jamar Chase, 8+ total receptions on the alternate reception line. That parlay paying +511. Today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. FanDuel is the home for popular parlays this NFL season. Please play responsibly. 19+, physically located in Ontario. Joe Burrow's been lights out statistically.
Dude, how's that Bengals coach avoided the firing line? That guy must be in tight with somebody, man.
Good question.
What are they?
4-8.
4-8. Yeah,
their defense is so bad.
They're done.
Their defense is so bad. Oh, it's over. Yeah, they're finished. But the NFL season moving quickly, man. Like, that's it, I believe, for the bye weeks. I think this past week was the end of it. And now everyone's playing tons of games. You're going to get some Saturday games coming up soon. See that college playoff? People are going nuts that Alabama didn't make it in. But
is that Matthew McConaughey's team there?
No, he's Texas. He's a Longhorn fan.
Did you see him walking off the field? He looked heartbroken.
Well, they still made it in. I think they're ranked, I want to say they're 5th. I think they're 5th. So Texas is still good. And Arch Manning has kind of come and gone a little bit. But talk about a guy making money. Do you know how much money that guy's going to make next year if he stays at Texas?
Crazy.
He'll make $25 million.
He very well could make that kind of money. He may very well make that kind of money. Probably win a Heisman, be a rock star, and then leave for the NFL first overall. That appears to be the plan. Another Manning, I guess, not brother, but member of the family going first overall. Can you imagine that? It seems very likely.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Appreciate all the help. We're on the panel tomorrow night, so we're not going to be here tomorrow. Leafs Devils tomorrow. James Duthie hosting, and the OverDrive boys will be there. We're bringing it all. It's going to be a blast tomorrow night, and we're looking forward to that. So there'll be guys in here tomorrow, right? Is Mark Rowe in here? Mark Rowe is going to be in here hosting tomorrow.
Nice.
Awesome. So we'll see Mark and the boys here tomorrow. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Death Row and the boys are back tomorrow at...
Let's throw down to ringside with Mark Masters and Sheldon Keefe, 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.